Hi, Sebastian here, and today I would like to show you our newest feature of the UHT Designer, the design layers. So, what's a design layer, you may ask? It's actually a pretty simple concept where a display design can now have multiple layers, where each layer is a separate small design inside the actual design. And these small designs can be activated using placeholders. So I know this sounds a bit confusing now that I say it, but it's actually pretty simple. Let me show it to you. So each tournament usually has different stages that are followed by each other. So for example, you basically start with an extended registration period where people can enter and re-enter the tournament. We have a post-registration phase where no more people can enter and everybody who busts stays out of the tournament. We have something like the bubble phase, the in the money phase, and maybe if your tournament is big enough, we even have a final table stage. And also, the tournament can be paused, or it can be on break, or have some other state where it's in. And each of these states or stages of the tournament requires different information which should be displayed on the timer. So for example, while the registration is still open, maybe you want to show a timer that shows how long the registration is still open and how much the buy-in costs, for example. And after the registration closes, you don't need this information anymore, so you would like to hide it or maybe display other information. And when you're in the money, for example, you would like to display additional or different information on the display. So let's go ahead and check out how this looks like now. So here I have pre-configured a tournament which uses these new designer features. Let's check them out. Let's open the tournament. And the first thing you may notice is a new button here in the tournament controls, which will allow you to start a countdown for your tournament. So if your tournament hasn't started yet, but you have everything prepared and already have the timer on a monitor or something like this, you can configure a specific start time here, and the display will then count down to the start of your tournament, and you can even go and tell it to immediately start the tournament when the countdown finishes, or do it by yourself as you like. You can also remove it and then start the usual way. But the more important features here are the new ones. So when we now start our tournament, we can see here that we have a re-entry period configured. So our players have still 70 minutes left to join or re-enter the tournament, whatever they want. And now we're going to see how this display here uses the new layer functionality. So let's assume our tournament progresses and we enter our first break. It should be in uh, level 4 here. So you can see here the break uses a completely different design for the display than the whole other tournament settings. So this is a separate layer now, a tournament break layer, which can be completely customized to look as you want and display only the information maybe that is required or relevant during your breaks, like for example add-ons or color ups, or maybe you want to display some ads or play some music or include here a YouTube video or something like this, or display other informations about your venue. So while the timer runs here and the break, nothing else happens, you can display here additional information for your players. And if you look closely here, you can see that after the break, which is 10 minutes, plus the 15 minutes of this level here, the re-entry period will end, and we should now see a little bit different informations here. So we had here re-entry and prize pool and buy-in, and after the re-entry closes, we now have the information about how many players are left, what the average stack is, and how big the prize pool now is. So This is, of course, you can do what you like here and update the information that is relevant for your tournament on this page. But this is just for demonstrations. And if we now continue with playing and reach the in the money phase, so let me bust 2 players. So now we are in the money because the last 3 players are winning. You can see here the next prize, which the next player would get that will be eliminated, and how much prize is still left. So if I bust another player here, you can see that the next prize increases and the prices left decreases. And this continues until, of course, there is a winner for the tournament here. This is just an example how you configure different layers. And now we will check out another cool thing. So as I said, you can configure many different layers, and I also prepared something else. Let me reset the tournament here and change the design to this design here. And this design has a special countdown layer configured. So when I start a countdown on this layer here, we should see something cool here. So as you can see here, we replaced the design completely with an animated GIF in this case. And just for the time of this countdown, we would like to display something else. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so now let's go and switch back to our designer. And let me go and open our design here. So this is the design we saw earlier. And here we can see our configured design, which is the default design. No, sorry, this is the ITM design. This is our default design. And you notice this little drop down here on the left, which says layer. And as you can see here, we have 4 different layers configured. One layer for the default, basically when no other layer is matching our configuration, this one will be displayed. We have a break layer, which we saw earlier here. And we also have the in the money layer, which replaces some of the values here, and also a re-entry closed. So as you can see here, it's basically the same design, but with swapped out informations in the relevant sectors here. As I mentioned earlier, you can create as many layers as you want. You just hit this layer button here, and in this pop-up you can see that we have 4 layers. I have created here a break layer, ITM and re-entry closed, and each layer requires a condition for which must be true in order to this layer to be displayed. So for example, here the break layer will always be shown when break active renders, when break active equals yes. It is the same system as with our display conditions here, where you can conditionally hide containers. The same is true here. You can conditionally hide or show the whole layer. And this is true for all the layers here. You have also here a few pre-configured buttons. For example, if you would like to add a bubble layer, you can click it here and it will add a layer with a pre-configured condition for you. You can, of course, also add your own layer and use your own conditions, which can be based on any placeholder that we have available here at UHD. So let me go and delete these ones here and save and close. And when you just select a layer to edit, for example, the break layer, the whole interface changes and you only see this layer information, and you can conveniently start editing anything you like and make this as complex or as simple as you like. One thing we need to mention though is that the order of these layers here in the list does actually matter, because sometimes you can have multiple of these conditions render to true. For example, you can be in the money and there can still a break happen right? So even if you're in the money, there are still breaks in between the levels. So both of those would render to true. Which layer should be shown then? And the system will always choose the layer that is on top. So if you have multiple conditions rendered to true, the first one in the list here will be rendered. That's why it's important to put the break up here and not down there, because if we're in the money and we have a break coming up, the break wouldn't be shown because in the money would be on top of the break. Also handy to know is that like I did here, I have basically three identical layouts here, only swapped out these containers here. Let's check in the money and the re-entry closed. This is the same design, and in order for you to not recreate the whole design with a new layer, so let me just add an example layer here. We always start with a completely blank design here. And of course, you don't want to recreate the whole design here one more time because it takes a really long time. You can always go and just duplicate a layer. And if you just want to modify your default layout, you can always copy it and add some condition. I'll just copy this one. Hit save, and now you have this new layer which looks exactly like your default layout, and now you can go and change everything that you like, and you can see here the default is still the default and your changes will be here, and this layer can be then used for this. And this is exactly the same way that I created this other countdown animation. We can go and open the other style here, and as you can see here, I have simply created a countdown layer with the condition of countdown active should be yes, and inserted here a background GIF and the main timer, and yeah, the default display is just a default, and here the countdown would be rendered like this, just like we saw earlier. So this was basically a short overview about a new feature. Everything else stays exactly the same. So even if you don't want to use the layer features, let's go and start with a fresh template here. You don't have to use those. You can still do everything inside your one main or default layer, like the Triton template here does. You can see here we have different containers with a condition. So when the tournament is paused, it will be swapped out. And also here at the bottom, we have also many containers that will be swapped out based on the condition here. You can always do it like this, but this is a bit tricky and it will clutter up your whole design with all these red glowing containers. So the more easy way would be just to duplicate this layer and tell it, okay, I want to add a pause layer. So when the tournament is paused, I can go and edit. I should have cloned it here, I think. Let me go delete this one and clone this one and just copy the pause layer condition. And now I have the other screen, which looks exactly the same, but here I could go ahead and remove this container here and also remove the condition from this one. And I could also change other things that I would like to show or to hide during the tournament or while the tournament is paused, while the default would still be applied. Okay, so this is the new layer feature. Let me know what you think, if it's something that you would like to use, and as usual, hit that like button to help our channel, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye!